It started with laughter. Not the kind that warms a room or floats around a dinner table like music. This was sharp, shrill, disbelieving. My wife's laugh, cutting through the ambient chatter like glass across pavement. I had just said the words, "I know about your affair." And she laughed, right there, in front of 20 of our closest friends and family, gathered under strings of golden lights for her 38th birthday. A gentle breeze moved through the backyard. Wine glasses clinked. Plates were full. Everything felt perfect. Until it didn't. She sat across from me, radiant in that silver dress she insisted on saving for a special occasion. Everyone had been telling her how stunning she looked. And she did. She always did. Which somehow made everything worse. "Are you serious?" she scoffed, voice loud enough to draw attention from the far end of the long table. "Oh my God, you're serious." Her laugh turned into a full-on cackle. Her mother looked confused. Her sister froze mid-bite. Our friends shifted awkwardly, not sure if this was some elaborate joke or a dramatic scene unfolding. I didn't laugh. I didn't blink. I just reached into my jacket pocket, feeling the cool press of the USB stick I'd kept there all day. My fingers brushed it like a lifeline. Steady. Rehearsed. This wasn't impulsive. I'd thought about this for weeks. But maybe I should start at the beginning. Or at least the part where I stopped being a husband and started being a man on borrowed time. It had been about 4 months since I first noticed the shift. Subtle things. She stopped kissing me when I got home. Her phone never left her hand. She changed her perfume. Twice. I asked if something was wrong, and she'd smile that same tired smile, brush a hand down my arm, and say, "Don't be paranoid." And I wanted to believe her. God, I did. We'd been married for 9 years. Bought this house together. Adopted a rescue dog named Clementine who slept on her side of the bed. We even talked about trying for a child again after our miscarriage last year. Hope still lived in that conversation, but so did distance. So I paid attention. I watched her habits, her routines, the way she started wearing makeup on mornings she claimed were just early yoga sessions, the way she laughed a little too hard at texts that lit up her screen after midnight. And the silence, that was the loudest part. I used to know what she was thinking before she said it. Now, she was a locked door, and I didn't have the key anymore. Then came the night she came home late, hair wet, smelling like hotel soap. No gym bag. No excuse. She didn't even look me in the eye. "I'm tired," she said, walking past me. "Where were you?" She didn't answer. That night I sat in the dark with Clementine at my feet, trying to figure out when exactly I'd lost her. I told myself I needed proof. Not for confrontation, not at first. Just so I could stop feeling crazy. So I could stop hoping. I bought a tiny camera. The kind you can hide in a planter. Installed it near the entryway, angled at the hallway leading to our bedroom. Another in the home office. One in the garage. Weeks passed. And then, on a Wednesday afternoon when I came home early from work, I saw it. Not in person. On video. Her. And him. A man I didn't recognize. Tall. Confident. Wearing one of my old jackets. He moved through our house like he belonged there. She kissed him before they even reached the stairs. I didn't cry. I didn't even rage. I just watched. And then I copied the video onto 3 USB drives. One for me, one for my lawyer, and one for this, her birthday dinner. It was her idea to host it at our home this year. Said it would feel more intimate. She decorated everything herself. Gold and ivory, candles and mason jars, little name cards with watercolor initials. Our friends arrived in waves, hugging, laughing, complimenting the setup. She floated through the evening like nothing was wrong. Like I hadn't watched her betrayal on a screen in the same kitchen just days before. I played my part, smiled, poured wine, held her hand during the toast. Even told her I loved her when she leaned in and whispered, "You're being amazing tonight." I was, just not in the way she thought. So when dessert came out, this ridiculous 4-tier cake with sparklers, she stood to thank everyone, raised her glass, said something about being grateful, about how love is the thread that holds our lives together. And I said, "I know about your affair." The silence that followed her laughter was immediate and profound. Like a building had just collapsed and no one wanted to acknowledge the dust in the air. "I'm not joking," I said quietly. She blinked. Her mother asked, "What's going on?" I didn't answer. Instead, I walked to the TV we kept by the patio doors, picked up the remote, inserted the USB drive. The screen flickered to life. She saw the file name first, just the date and time. And then, the video played. I watched her face. Not the video. I'd already memorized it. Her smile fell like glass from a ledge. The room was dead quiet. Somewhere behind me, someone whispered, "Oh my God." The music stopped. Her mother cried. I finished my drink, set the empty glass on the table, and walked out the door without another word. I didn't go far that night, just far enough to feel the silence settle in around me like a second skin. The kind you don't know how to peel off yet. I sat in the car outside our neighbor's place, engine off, eyes on the windshield, watching the lights inside our home flicker through the trees. People began to leave in quiet groups. No one looked in my direction. Funny how quickly celebration turns into evacuation. She didn't chase me. Not that night. I didn't expect her to. I stayed in a hotel by the highway. One of those places you'd never notice unless your life had just collapsed and you needed somewhere to be no one. The kind with plastic-wrapped cups and old floral bedspreads that smell like every cigarette ever smoked there. The next morning, I woke up and felt weightless. Not free. Not yet. But untethered. I hadn't told anyone where I went. Not even my brother. I didn't want questions. I didn't want comfort. I just needed space. To think. To unravel. To start understanding the shape of the wound. Around noon, she texted, "Can we talk?" That was it. No apology. No explanation. Just 4 words she never said when it mattered. I didn't reply. She called. I let it ring. Then came the messages. "You didn't have to do that in front of everyone. Can we please talk somewhere private? I'm sorry, okay? It wasn't what you think." But it was. It always is. That's the most painful part. How textbook it all becomes once you see the pattern. The denials. The gaslighting. The emotional loopholes. I'd spent months climbing the walls of my own self-doubt, only to discover she'd built the maze on purpose. I scrolled past the texts and opened the folder my lawyer had helped me compile. I wasn't planning revenge. I was planning survival. Bank statements. Transfers to accounts I never authorized. Her name on hotel receipts that matched the time stamps from the video. This wasn't just betrayal. It was theft. Time, money, trust, gone, and she was still using my name like a credit line. I got to work. By the next morning, the joint account was frozen. The deed to the house was being pulled into dispute. My lawyer filed for divorce under grounds of infidelity and financial misrepresentation. There was something both brutal and cleansing about watching it all fall apart by design. A few days later, she showed up at the hotel. I heard the knock before I saw her face through the peephole. Puffy eyes, no makeup, the same sweatshirt she used to wear on our Sunday mornings. She looked small, and for a second, I felt that old reflex rise up inside me. The one that wanted to protect her, to fix things. But I didn't open the door. Not until I was sure I wouldn't crumble. When I did, I stepped out into the hallway, closed the door behind me, and leaned against it. She opened her mouth. Don't lie, I said. Not angry, just tired. She paused, blinked hard, like she'd been slapped with truth for the first time. I didn't mean for it to get serious. I nodded, but it did. She looked at the carpet. He doesn't mean anything to me. It was just, I don't know. I felt invisible, like you stopped seeing me. That part stung more than I wanted to admit, because there was a truth in it I couldn't ignore. I had pulled away. Somewhere between the promotions, the renovations, the daily grind of trying to be a good provider, I stopped noticing how lonely she looked across the dinner table. But that's the thing about marriage. You're supposed to speak up before you sabotage it. I folded my arms. You could have said something. I tried, she whispered. Not hard enough. We stood there in silence, the hum of hallway lights overhead. Then she did something I didn't expect. She cried. Really cried. Not performative tears. Not the kind meant to manipulate. Just raw, broken sobs from someone who realized the bridge was already ash beneath their feet. I didn't think you'd ever leave me, she said between gasps. You were always the one who stayed. Always. I almost laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it was true. I had always been the one who stayed. Even when things got hard. Even when she stopped loving me out loud. Even when I suspected something was wrong. I stayed. Until I didn't. I didn't leave, I said gently. You did. A long time ago. I just finally caught up. She didn't argue. What else was there to say? Before I turned to go back inside, I looked at her one last time. This isn't punishment, I told her. It's the consequence. And then I shut the door. Back inside, the room felt colder. But it was mine. Just mine. And for the first time in a long time, I wasn't afraid of the quiet. She stopped texting after that. 2 weeks later, she sent a final message. Please don't show the video to my parents. They're not well. I'm sorry for everything. I didn't reply. I deleted the file that night. Not because she deserved mercy, but because I did. I didn't want to carry the weight of it anymore. I didn't need anyone else to confirm what I already knew. She betrayed me. And now, I was free. The final chapter didn't come with a bang. It came with paperwork. A beige envelope slid under my hotel room door one rainy afternoon. Divorce proceedings officially underway. I sat there on the carpet with the documents in my lap, the rain tapping lightly on the window, and let the silence hold me like a strange kind of comfort. I had done what I came to do. No fireworks. No revenge-fueled victory speech. Just the slow, measured end of something I once believed would last forever. She tried a few more times to reach out. Sent emails that started with, "I still love you," and ended with, "I wish you'd talk to me." I never blocked her, but I never answered again. The truth is, I didn't want to rebuild anything with her. I didn't want revenge anymore, either. I wanted distance, clarity, clean air after years of breathing in smoke. A month after I left, I went back to the house. Not to move back in, but to collect the last of my things. It was empty when I arrived. I had made sure of that. The rooms felt haunted by a life I no longer recognized. Our wedding photo still hung crooked on the wall by the stairs. A cup I once used every morning sat untouched by the sink. Even Clementine's food bowl was still in its usual spot, though she had already come with me when I left that first night. I packed what little I cared about. Books, old journals, my grandfather's watch. The rest could stay. It wasn't worth carrying forward. Before I left, I paused by the dining room, the place where everything had finally unraveled. I stood there in the same spot I had that night. I remembered her laugh, the way it had bounced off the walls, the way her mother had cried when the truth came out, the way the candles flickered as if they, too, were shocked. I remembered finishing my drink and walking out, and somehow, I felt no regret about it. But I did feel sadness. Not for her. For us. For what we could have been if she had just reached for me instead of someone else. If I had looked a little closer. Spoken up a little sooner. But that's the lie we all tell ourselves after betrayal. That it might have been different. That we could have done more. Sometimes, people just leave you. Even if their body stays. I closed the door gently behind me and left the keys on the counter. That was the last time I saw that house. The last time I saw her. But not the last time she saw me. 6 months later, I was at a coffee shop in another town, halfway through a new job, when I felt someone watching me. I looked up. Across the street, standing by a boutique window, was a familiar figure. Her. Hair shorter. Face thinner. A little sad around the eyes. She saw me, and I saw her realize that I was okay. That I was smiling. Talking to someone. Living. She didn't wave. Neither did I. But in that glance, something passed between us. An understanding. A goodbye. Now, when people ask me what happened, I tell them this. She laughed when I said I knew about her affair. Until I played the security video at her birthday dinner. The music stopped. Her mother cried. I finished my drink. And I walked away. Not because I wanted to hurt her, but because I finally knew. She didn't deserve to be loved by someone who noticed everything, while she gave her everything to someone who noticed nothing. Some people burn the house down. I just turned off the lights and let the truth speak for itself.